passing of the seed through the fire, along with the jumping through the fire, was to the god Moloch. This originated with the worshipping of the sun, moon, and the 12 stations, better recognized as constellations. For Cain is also known as the god Khan. Anyway, he would eat the babies offered to him, and no more would they sacrifice to the bull or the people of the constellation of Taurus, etc. Hence we get Cain a Baal, today called, or rather spelled, cannibal. Think of globalism, or i.e. globalism. Now, the abortion clinics burn the babies or fetuses, which is the passing through the fire, or at least the ones that are not used in cosmetics, and thrown to the hogs. So when people eat pork products, they also eat the babies that help fatten it up. Some of the Baal priests were female, and the males would have sexual intercourse with them while their wives left to do their religious duties so much time out of the year. Today, the word kinky is a hera, which was the symbol of the phallic, of the nimbin, virile. The ancient Baal, Bel, or bonfire, the sun god. On television, today we see the advertisement of the Trojan vibrator, and how the men slave over their wives in order to be permitted to be a part of this modern-day phallic worship. Such ungodly people will burn in Yahweh's fire, and no longer in the Canaan fire. If we look to ancient Sumer, which is Mesopotamia, today modern Iraq, we find a very old and disturbing past. Ishtar was worshipped by the pre-Adamites, and is also why the peoples before the pre-Adamics had been destroyed. Jeremiah chapter 4. She came from the planet Venus, and after her escape from the underworld, or earth, she asked Yahweh to give her the bull star constellation. Venus had been wiped out earlier to the wars in the heavens, or cosmos. So she got angry with Yahweh when he refused, and vowed that she would eat and sexually seduce our race upon arrival. We know her as the Easter whore, aka Lilith, and this is why mothers would sing lullabies when putting their children to bed. Lullaby means Lilith go by. Also, she would enter the dreams of young boys around the age of 13 and 14, and so sexually arouse them in their sleep, and this is why we have what is called a wet dream. Today, the people of Iraq still worship her and the sun god Utah, as do many so-called Christians with the rolling of the Ishtar eggs. The rabbit was the first animal she saw after her starship had crashed into the sea. It was the rolling of the waves of tidal or typhoon that brought her ashore. So Lilith, or Ishtar, favored the rabbit because it mated a lot. As we know that the man carries the seed and is the giver of life. But in this heathen practice, the woman holds the eggs and believes she is the life giver. The rabbit and the egg is a symbol of fertility. And let me tell you, she got around and caused pre-Adamics and Adamic women alike to sexually seduce the males in order to bring forth babies to give to Moloch and to gain control of men. This is not our holiday. Passover is our holy day, not Ishtar, Easter, Lilith Day, hence the Easter lilies. Is any of this sinking in yet? Venus is a space station, and we can read of this in Isaiah 31 verses 1, or excuse me, Isaiah 13 verses 1 through 22, as it speaks of a mountain and comes from Numbers 20:22 and Numbers 20:42, and means country or planet or a range of hills, and also implies impending doom. This appeared to be a cloud moving forward in space, or at least controlled in a manner as of its direction by casting a signal, maybe by remote control. If you take the word banner in verse 2, it means a flag, sail, a signal, a conspicuous signal, to flutter in the wind, to raise a beacon, and is the Hebrew word NASA, and is pronounced the same as NASA. Anyway, we know that greenhouse gases are strong on the planet Venus, and would appear scary seeing this massive ship coming at you covered in clouds. So if you read this carefully, we find that destruction came upon Venus, and this is why Lilith left the planet. The Babylonians call her Ishtar, rendered Easter. In the new parchments in the book of Acts, chapter 12, verse 1 through 4, Easter, or Ishtar, is mentioned only one time and cannot be found in any other book, in any of the parchments, old or new, and has nothing to do with Passover. Passover was never to be put away. Communion in the place of the lamb was to be established with the death of Yahweh's physical body. It wasn't until 300 AD or so that the Roman Church forced the Scottish by killing those that would not follow the Passover, and this is where they put the practice of Easter in its place. And if you notice that in verse 3 it says, "Then were the days of unleavened bread." And I know the translators added that, but is one of the only things they got correct, because in the next verse it says Easter, which is wrong. Don't think for 1 minute that this is the first time Easter or Ishtar had been observed, because it's not. This is an ancient festival of fertility, or to say breeding time, under the morning star, known as Venus, an orgy, so to speak, especially in the garden palace just before the dawning of the sun. Did you ever wonder where the phrase "men are from Mars and women are from Venus" comes from? Fertility, fertility, fertility. This pagan worship of the phallic started in the Garden of Eden. Eden meaning beginning, with Lilith arguing with Adam about who was going to be on top. In Zechariah chapter 5, we read of 2 females that came down out of a spaceship in verses, that came down out of a ship from space that was 20 cubits or 45 feet long, and 10 cubits, 15 foot wide. And they brought evil practices. The 2 females are most likely Lilith and Kali. Another thing here I want to point out is that Diana is said to be the Queen of Heaven, and once again is Lilith. She was the aphrodisiac, known as Aphrodite. In Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 18, it says, the children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Notice how the children and the father all work together with